I am a project manager and I've spent a lot of time thinking about risks and where projects actually fail. And I have to say that it's almost never the big obvious things. It's more often that you think the small things that are the small risks discussed in a meeting and buried in a transcript and then simply forgotten or glossed over. So I needed a way to bridge that gap between conversation and actionable data. That's why I built an automated risk processing engine designed to scan project communications, sanitize sensitive data, and ensure that every potential blocker is indexed in the cloud before the meeting even ends or once it's done. And that's why I built, drumroll please, Horizon Navigator. Building Horizon Navigator for me stems from a very profound insight my fellow techies and I were talking about the other day. It's basically that some of the most effective tools are the ones we architect for ourselves because we are the ones living the friction every day and we know exactly what we need. By building my own system, I wasn't just solving a problem, I was creating a custom piece of infrastructure that understands my specific work. And so for me, it's about moving from being a user of systems to becoming an architect of them. But I really don't want this to just be a personal tool. I want Horizon Navigator to be a blueprint for other project managers who are interested in building things with AI and with cloud tools. I feel we're in an era where AI and cloud tools have lowered the barrier to entry so much that we can all be builders now. So my intention here is to coach others to leverage these tools so they can stop fighting their processes and start architecting the ones they've always wanted. So this is just the beginning. Please keep in mind, Horizon Navigator is an MVP and I am following an incremental development style for my delivery, which means that this is just a first step. So thank you very much for being here, and without further ado, let's get into it. All right, so now let's look under the hood. So this is the architecture for Horizon Navigator. And the goal here was pretty simple: to take the mess of everyday project meetings and turn it into something actually useful using a clean serverless cloud pipeline. Okay, so everything kicks off. You can take a look at the first part here. Everything kicks off locally on my machine. I built the core engine in Python to handle the heavy lifting before we even think about sending anything to the cloud. First up, you have the sanitizer. This is a very important piece. We can't just go throwing people's personal emails into a database. So this module scrubs all PII using regex patterns. It's all about security. It's security first. We keep the data clean and the stakeholders protected from day one. Then we have a transition. We transition to the risk scanner. This is the PM, the project management brain of the script. It's not just looking for words, but it's also evaluating impact. What this does is that it sifts through the transcript, picks out the red flags, so to speak, and tags them into critical, moderate, or minor. And by the time it's done, that wall of text is now structured into a JSON payload that is ready for the big leagues. And now let's move to the cloud section of it. So we use Bolt 2.3 to ship a master log of the entire session straight to Amazon S3. I like S3 here because it's our source of truth and it's immutable, it's versioned, and it gives us a perfect audit trail for every meeting that we've ever had. And then finally, this is like the cherry on top. For the day-to-day stuff, we need speed. That's why we fit the data into Amazon DynamoDB. Since it's not only SQL store, we get incredible performance. Each risk becomes a live entry in our risk register, which is super important for project managers and for project management in general. And so this means that I can query my critical blockers in milliseconds. And so that means no more scrolling through PDFs to find out what's broken. So this is a decoupled serverless approach that takes the grunt work out of project management. It's fast, it's secure, and it lets the team focus on solving problems instead of documenting them. So in a nutshell, that is Horizon Navigator. Okay, so first let's look at our starting point. I think we're all familiar with the automated transcripts, meeting transcripts that we get today from tools like Zoom, Teams, or Google Meet, and they've become essential for documentation. I for instance, use them a lot for reporting, for weekly projects, reports, for project summaries, stuff like that. I also use them a lot for risk management. They are very important to me. So these transcripts have become essential documentation for project managers, I think, or for many project managers, but they've also created a massive information overload problem, especially for risk management, as I was saying. So what you're going to see here is the raw data that I'm going to use for Horizon Navigator. I'm just going to go into my file. This is a file where I have a number of fictitious meetings, and these are meetings that contain a lot of information about what happened during each one of those meetings. Imagine that this is the complete transcript from a meeting. For instance, you have the name of the participant. You have, for instance, here you can see something that happened. There was a minor delay in the API documentation delivery. For instance, Charlie also said that the token budget for the OpenAI API is quite tight for this quarter. So there are a bunch of risks. There's a bunch of actionable information. But in this state, it's just digital exhaust. As a PM, you would have to spend hours digging through this just to find one real signal, like a budget blocker or a critical risk. So Horizon Navigator is the filter. This is a filter I built to solve this, turning this messy text into a high fidelity data asset. So that's pretty much the raw data that we're going to be working with. Okay, now let's go over the Python code that we have for the Navigator. So first we define our AWS. Well, first we import the libraries, right? We have boat23, we have regex, we have JSON, we have the UUID. This is for the DynamoDB NoSQL part that we have constructed for this project. We have the AWS configuration part where we have the bucket name, we have the table name, the region. Then we have the PMP risk engine logic. And so this is the brain of the script. Instead of just searching for text, we're categorizing impact based on PMP standards, where you have keywords like blocker, catastrophic, PII, resignation, and we are labeling them as critical, where you have bias, spike, labeled as moderate or categorized as moderate, and you have maybe incomplete documentation, small, categorized into minor. And so this is the engine logic. Then for governance and security, data privacy, remember, is very important here. So we have this function that is going to sanitize the text using regex to redact stakeholder emails on the fly. We make sure that no PII or personal information ever leaves the local environment unmasked. Then we have the architecting risk insights code block, where we are defining this function called classify severity, and this is pretty much the heart of the script. So this function iterates through our raw scripts, applies the security mask, and assigns a severity level. It transforms every line into a structured data object with a unique risk ID and a timestamp. So this is what happens with this part of the code. And then you have the cloud integration, where you have the sync to AWS data. The cloud integration handles the actual handshake with AWS. It's a dual path process. We persist a master JSON into S3 for long-term audit. And then we use a batch writer to push every risk into DynamoDB. This batching is key for efficiency and high-speed indexing. Finally, we have this execution block, where that is the block that ties all together. We point the engine to our transcript file, and if the analysis is successful, then we trigger the cloud sync. It's a clean, automated workflow from start to end. Okay, so hands on the keyboard now. This is a very exciting part. I'm going to show you what the infrastructure looks like. Here, first we're going to start by going into our AWS console. So we have architected our infrastructure for using two core components. The two core components that we're going to be looking at are S3, and we also have DynamoDB. So we have an Amazon S3 bucket, which is dedicated to long-term persistence. This is where our master JSON logs will be stored, and they provide a durable and immutable trail for every single meeting transcript that we process. So here I'm going to go into that service, which is Amazon S3. You can see that I have created a bucket. The name of the bucket is Horizon Navigator data. And that's something that you will be able to see in the code that we have for this project. Please remember that I am going to share that code with you all in case you want to take a look at it, in case you want to use it for inspiration or whatever, right? So I am opening my my Horizon Navigator data bucket, and you can see that at this point it's empty. There's nothing in it, right? And we are going to have the JSON logs, and we're also going to have the JSON, the .txt file that we're using for our transcripts. So this is the first part of the AWS console, and the other part is I'm going to go into DynamoDB. We have our DynamoDB table. This is a NoSQL store designed for high-speed indexing. Here is the table. It's currently empty, but it's ready to act as our live queryable risk register. the risk register is a super important part of any professional project management endeavor, because this is where we can see the risks that we would have to either, transfer, mitigate, accept, or whatever, if you're talking about the PMP methodology. Well, but here, going back to the table, we have the table. The table is empty at this point, and by decoupling the raw storage in S3 from this analytical layer in DynamoDB, we have created a scalable and efficient environment for project governance. Okay, folks, so now for the moment of truth, we are going to put Horizon Navigator to the test. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the architecture to the test by running the script for Navigator, and well, watch the terminal, and it should parse those 16 project meetings in real time. So here it goes. Watch carefully. Okay, the engine is performing all the heavy lifting. It's scanning every line, applying PMP logic, and redacting sensitive emails. And you can see that the classification happened instantly, tagging risks as critical, moderate, and as minor. So at this point, the handshake with AWS is complete. And in less than 10 seconds, we have transformed months of unstructured noise into a secure, synchronized dataset. We get a confirmation that the master log synced to this log, and that it indexed 68 items, and the risk register table has been updated successfully. So next up is we are going to go over to AWS and to see what we can learn. But this was a successful run. So great, congratulations. Okay, so once the Python script has run, and we noticed, we saw that all the the transcripts were parsed, we're going to go into the AWS console and see what we can learn. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to go over to S3. And if you recall correctly, our Horizon Navigator data bucket was empty. And now it is not empty. You can see that the logs have persisted. Now these logs, as you can see, they're in the JSON format. So something we can do if you want to take a look at those risks and at the JSON format is, you can just go ahead and you select the file, you download it, and once you have downloaded the file, you can use, for instance, I have my Visual Studio Code ready here with the file, with the JSON file, and here you can see that there are many risks stemmed from the transcripts, and you can see that they were classified into minor risks, into moderate risks, into critical risks. So that is the beauty of Horizon Navigator. And you might ask, can't I just take like the transcript and take it to Gemini or take it to ChatGPT or whatever and get something very similar? And the answer is yes, definitely you can do that. But if you consider that there are times when you have a great number of meetings, or maybe you can do this on a weekly basis, it all depends on your workflow. But for instance, you could have, 7-10 meetings ready, and you would just be able to do the analysis with just by running the Python script, and you wouldn't have to manually be uploading each and every single one of those transcripts into the LLM, into either ChatGPT or Gemini or whatever. So that is basically one of the reasons why Horizon Navigator is actually quite good. Now, so this is S3. Now we're going to go into DynamoDB and see what we can learn. So here, DynamoDB, remember that our table was empty, but now, as you can see, we have this table, and you can explore the items for the table, right? You can go to this section. Let me make this smaller, and you can take a look at those, at the severity, for instance, of the risks. They have all been they have all been classified. And if you go into each one of them, you will see that there is no PII or anything like that on the insights. And you can use these for your project management process, and you can use them to gauge the risks that you have in your projects, and you can do it very quickly. And I hope this tool helps you. Moreover, it's not only the tool, but something that I am interested in talking to you about is basically just that mindset shift that should go from just being a user and just watching the AI world go by to actually becoming a builder of AI products, or a builder of your own products, so that you can also use this knowledge for your technical acumen, so that you can become a more technically oriented project manager. So that was Horizon Navigator in action. It's about bridging the gap between raw meeting noise and strategic cloud intelligence. I've made this entire mini project for the community, so I am leaving all the artifacts, including the Python source code and the AWS architecture diagrams, in the video description below. So if you're interested in the intersection of AI engineering and modern project management, let's connect and keep the conversation going. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next build.